You think you know someone right up until the moment they look you in the eye and lie, like they've practiced it their whole life. I'm Dan. I married Elena because I believed in love. Real love. The kind you build over years. The kind you fight for. She was beautiful. Sharp. I'm confident the kind of woman who walks into a room and makes everyone else disappear. And I thought I was the lucky one. But the truth. Some people don't marry you to love you. They marry you to use you. And by the time I realized it, I was already in too deep. Have you ever trusted someone so much it blinded you? If Dan's story already stirs something in you, even just a flicker, we'd love to hear it. Leave a thought, a memory, a feeling in the comments. And if you'd like to walk alongside more stories like this one, you can always hit subscribe. Quietly. When you're ready, here at Voices Stories, we hold space for the ones who've been through it. So let me take you back to the moment I stood at the altar and thought I was marrying my forever. I remember the way my palms sweated that day, the way my chest tightened under my suit, heart thudding like a war drum as I stood at the altar, my eyes locked on Elena, and the world blurred around her. She was stunning, wrapped in white silk that clung just enough to draw stares, smiling like she had a secret only I would ever know. Her gaze didn't waver. It was like she was seeing only me. In that moment, I thought, this is it. This is love's finish line. 2 years of dating, countless nights dreaming about this day. And now here we were, husband and wife to be. Minutes from saying forever. My brother, Mark, nudged me with that stupid grin he wore when he was half proud, half jealous. You're a lucky bastard. Dan, he whispered, just loud enough to make the bridesmaids giggle. I laughed it off. Heart full. I believed him. I believed in us. The vows came easy. The kiss came softer, the kind that makes your whole chest feel weightless. Like hope had a flavor, and I'd just tasted it. Looking back now, I wish I'd read between the lines. If I'd known what I know today, I might have walked away right there. Suit and all. The reception blurred into toasts and clinks. Elena dancing with me under fairy lights. Her laughter brushing my ear like a promise. Everyone said we looked perfect. I felt perfect. Later that night, we stumbled into our new place, my old apartment. Now ours. We were drunk on champagne and celebration. Clothes wrinkled from hugs and dancing. I reached for her, full of tenderness. A familiarity built over months. But the second my hand touched her waist, she flinched. Not tonight. Daniel, she said sharply. Her voice clipped. Almost rehearsed. She stepped back. Arms folded. My body. My choice. I froze. The words echoed strangely in the soft dark. I didn't protest. I just nodded. Slowly. Of course. I mumbled. It's been a long day. Weddings are overwhelming. I told myself she just needed time. Tomorrow would be different. It wasn't. The next night, I leaned in just a brush of her shoulder. A hopeful gesture. She recoiled again. Same words. Same cold tone. My body. My choice. A week passed. Then another. And another. Every time I reached for her, the air turned stiff. Her arms stayed crossed. Her eyes found the ceiling. The wall. Her phone anywhere but me. And always that phrase. Like it was etched into her lips. My body. My choice. At first, it stung. Then it began to feel like rejection was the only intimacy we had left. He lay beside her night after night, staring up into the dark. My chest tight with 100 questions. Did I do something wrong? Was she scared? Was she regretting me? I tried to ask her gently. Honestly. Are you okay? Do you need something? Can I help? I'm fine. She snapped, without looking up. Then she buried herself in the soft blue glow of her phone, fingers tapping out something she wouldn't let me see. Days turned into nights, and nights bled into a hollow routine. I'd reach for her just a touch, a question, a chance, and get the same response. a distant stare, a stiff body, and those same 4 words like a knife sliding slow into skin. My body, my choice. By the end of the second week, I stopped trying. Rejection stings less when you learn to expect it. But silence. Silence has teeth. It bites when you least expect. She barely spoke to me unless it was necessary. And when she did, it was clipped robotic, like I was some coworker, not the man she'd promised forever to. Dinner became a ritual of scraping forks and one-word replies. I'd ask about her day. Fine. I'd try to joke. She wouldn't look up. What hurt more wasn't the coldness, it was the shift, the absence. She wasn't angry. She wasn't sad. She was gone. Like the woman I married had packed up and left, leaving this stranger in her place. Late at night, I'd watch her from the other side of the bed, her back turned, her phone glowing inches from her face. Her fingers moved constantly, fast, like she was having full conversations with someone. I couldn't see the screen. She always tilted it away subtle, but clear. I asked her once, gently, "Who are you texting?" She didn't miss a beat. "Work," she said. Too quick, too flat, too practiced. Something in me clenched. Sometimes she'd leave the house for hours, claiming errands. But she'd return empty-handed, no bags. No, receipts. Just that little smile she didn't offer me anymore. And I noticed how often she asked about money, about my company, about savings and assets, all with this offhand shrug, like she was just curious. But it didn't feel like curiosity. It felt like research, like she was studying me, not loving me. And Marquis was around a lot more too. Too much. At first, I brushed it off. Brothers dropped by. No big deal. But he'd ask about Elena every time, how we were doing. If she was happy, if she was satisfied. He'd smirk when he said it. And Elena. She'd give him that small, tight smile, the kind she hadn't given me in weeks. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself to trust her. But something sharp had lodged in my chest. It didn't feel like marriage. It felt like waiting for a betrayal I couldn't yet prove. I wasn't the jealous type. I never had been. Before Elena. Before marriage, I trusted easy. Maybe too easy. But trust needs ground to stand on. And whatever we'd built was crumbling under my feet. Every time I caught her smiling at her phone, something inside me tightened. That smile soft. Private. Like she was remembering something sweet. It wasn't mine anymore. It hadn't been for a while. She'd leave for hours at a time. Just errands, she'd say with a shrug. No receipts. No bags. No explanation. And when I asked where she'd been, she'd toss a vague answer like a bone and shut down. I stopped asking. The silence hurt less than her lies. But then there was Mark. My brother. My best man. My blood. He started showing up more often. Always unannounced. He'd flop onto my couch, crack open a beer, and ask the same question, always the same damn question. How's the wife? He'd smirk when he said it. Like it was a joke. Like we shared some secret. I'd play along. She's settling in. I'd say, forcing a smile. He'd nod, but his eyes would shift just a flick toward the hallway, waiting for her to appear. And when she did, she'd smile at him. Not a full smile. Not the kind she used to give me. But something tight, controlled, like they knew they were being watched. I told myself it was harmless. That brothers and wives could get along. But it started to fester, a splinter I couldn't pull out. Mark had a job at my company. I'd brought him in a year ago. It gave him a solid salary. Made him project manager. He hadn't earned it. Not really, but I'd wanted to help. Wanted to believe in him. Now, every time he stopped by, I noticed more the way he lingered in the kitchen too long. The way Elena didn't stiffen around him like she did with me. She laughed at his jokes. She never laughed at mine anymore. And then came the night I heard her whispering. It was past midnight. I was getting a glass of water when I noticed the bathroom light on. I heard her voice low. Urgent. Words muffled but sharp. He's clueless, she said. Just wait. I froze in the hallway. My skin went cold. She was talking about me. She had to be. I stepped closer, barely breathing. The floor creaked under my foot, and the whispering stopped. Seconds later, the door opened. She stepped out, clutching her phone like a lifeline. Her face was blank. Who were you talking to? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Work, she said. Again. Too fast. Again. And then she walked past me like I didn't matter. That was the moment something inside me shifted. I wasn't imagining things. I wasn't paranoid. Something was going on, and I was going to find out what it was no matter how deep I had to dig. That night didn't let me sleep. I lay there, eyes open in the dark, staring at the ceiling while Elena slept peacefully beside me, or pretended to. Her back to me, her phone tucked under the pillow. I didn't touch it. Not yet. Snooping felt dirty. Desperate. But so was lying. And right now, I wasn't sure which one of us was filthier. By the next evening, I wasn't hoping anymore. I was watching. She said she was meeting a friend for drinks. Didn't say who. Didn't ask me to come. Just grabbed her keys and left like I was some roommate who paid half the rent and didn't ask questions. I gave it 10 minutes. Then I followed. Her car led me out of the city past bars, past the busy streets to a quiet little park near the edge of town. No lights. No people. Just the kind of place you go when you don't want to be seen. I parked a block away, killed the engine, waited, and then I saw him. Mark, stepping out of his truck like he belonged there. Hands in his pockets, head low, like maybe he had enough shame to keep his eyes down. She got out of her car, walked toward him without hesitation, and before I could even finish whispering, "No, please." No, they kissed. Not a quick kiss. Not a mistake. It was hungry. Familiar. The kind of kiss that doesn't happen by accident. My grip on the steering wheel tightened until my knuckles turned white. I didn't scream. I didn't punch the dashboard. I didn't storm over and make a scene. I sat there, frozen, watching my wife kiss my brother. They held each other like they'd done it 100 times. Like they didn't care who saw. Like I didn't exist. I drove home in silence, my face numb, my thoughts racing in every direction. It wasn't just betrayal. It was them. Together. All this time, while I broke myself wondering what I did wrong, they were doing this. And the worst part, they were still pretending. Like I was too stupid to see what was right in front of me. But they had no idea who they were dealing with. They thought I'd crumble. That I'd drink. Cry. Scream. That I'd beg. They didn't know me. Not really. Seeing them kiss didn't break my heart. It broke my patience. I'd spent a month drowning in doubt. Playing the loyal husband. Questioning every look. Every silence. But now I had the truth ugly. Undeniable. It wasn't a fling. It wasn't confusion. It was betrayal. Calculated and cruel. I drove home that night with my hands steady on the wheel. My mind clearer than it had been in weeks. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I planned. The next morning, I slipped out of bed before Elena woke up. Made myself coffee in the quiet kitchen. Went to my office. Closed the door and started digging. I already had the phone records, dozens of late-night calls between her and Mark. Some while I was asleep in the next room. Now I pulled up our shared bank statements. And what I found twisted my stomach. Withdrawals. Lots of them. Small at first. Then larger. All tied to her card. She was taking money. Slowly. Quietly. Receipts vague. Generic. No real purchases. Then I checked the cloud, our shared backup system. And there they were. Text messages. Months old. One from Mark. Weeks before the wedding, he's loaded. Stick it out. Another. From her, I'll get what I can. I stared at the screen, feeling sick. This wasn't a marriage gone wrong. This was a setup. A con. I called Greg, my lawyer. He'd helped me draft a prenup before the wedding. Elena had laughed it off at the time. Joked that I didn't trust her. Turns out I was smarter than I gave myself credit for. I want an annulment. I told him. This was fraud. Greg didn't even blink. We've got a case, he said. Text records. Financial trail. This isn't a divorce. This is deception. For 2 days. I collected proof. Quietly. Thoroughly. A picture of her phone left, unlocked Mark's name glowing on the screen with a heart emoji. Screenshots of their conversations. Transaction logs. Even hired a guy to tail them. Got photos of them meeting again. Piece by piece. It all came together like a puzzle I never wanted to solve. Elena started sensing something. Maybe it was the way I stopped talking. Maybe it was how I stopped asking. She'd look at me across the room. Guarded. What's your problem? She'd ask. I'd shrug. Nothing. She got jumpy. Started packing for a weekend away. I let her. Let her believe she had time. But she didn't. On Friday, I filed the paperwork. Served it to her at the house while I wasn't there. Greg handled it clean. Precise. She called me that night. Screaming. You can't do this to me, I hung up. The next day, she countersued, demanded alimony. Accused me of manipulation. Said I owed her half my company. I didn't even flinch. She wanted a war. She picked the wrong man. Sometimes. A story finds its way into your chest without asking. If you felt even a sliver of this, if something in Dan's silence, or Alina's smile, reminded you of something you've lived, we'd love to hear from you. A comment. A thought. Just your voice, it matters. We're here to listen. And here to keep telling on Voices Stories. And if you feel like continuing this journey, just tap subscribe. No rush. We'll be right here when you're ready. Work used to be my escape. My construction company, 10 years of sweat and broken backs. From one truck to a 20-man crew. I built it brick by brick. That place was my pride. But now even that felt like a battlefield. Mark started showing up at the office like nothing had happened. He'd lean in my doorway. All smug grin and fake concern. How's married life? Big shot, he'd ask. Like I didn't know he'd kissed my wife in the dark. I kept it civil. Shrugged him off. It's fine. But I watched him closely. The way his questions always slid toward Elena. She treating you good, still keeping you on your toes. He said it with a laugh. But I saw the flicker in his eyes, the way he studied my face for cracks. I didn't give him any. But inside, I was boiling. Then one day, he went further. We were in the break room. He stirred sugar into his coffee and casually asked business, still raking it in. Yeah. I said. Steady. Steady's good. He replied. Then added, almost too softly. Ever think about cashing out? I paused. Why would I? He shrugged. Elena might like something cushier. More stable. You know, I stared at him. He didn't blink. The pieces were falling into place. This wasn't just cheating. This was a long game. That night, Elena left her phone on the counter while she showered. The screen lit up a text from M. Just 2 words. All good. My stomach twisted. M. It could have been anyone. But my gut screamed Mark. I didn't touch the phone. Didn't scroll. I just stood there until she came out and snatched it from the counter. What are you doing? She snapped. Nothing. I lied. It buzzed. She narrowed her eyes. But didn't push. Maybe she didn't want to tip her hand either. The next day, I did something I swore I'd never do. I checked our phone bill, the shared account. I scrolled down. And there it was. Dozens of calls. Hours of conversations. All between her and Mark. Late at night. When I was sleeping. Or at work. Or in the house feet away. My hands shook as I printed the records. Still, I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed more. A week later, she said she was meeting a friend for drinks. I waited 10 minutes, then followed her again. But this time, I didn't just see them together. I saw the kiss again, deeper, longer. And this time, I didn't feel shock. I felt clarity. This was it. I went home and started putting everything in place. The court papers landed in her hands on a Thursday. I wasn't home to see it. And I didn't want to be. Let Greg handle the storm. I'd already lived in it long enough. She called that night, screaming, "You can't do this. You can't just end us like this." I hung up. The next morning, she filed a counterclaim, said I manipulated her, said she was forced into the marriage, demanded half my company and lifelong alimony. Bold, desperate, and so very her. But the part that stung more than court filings was what came next. She took it public. Her social media exploded. Photos of her with teary eyes. Long captions written like diary entries from a battered soul. I married a man who controlled every part of my life. I wasn't allowed to breathe without permission. Number, survivor number, escape number, truth matters. Comments poured in. People called me a monster. Old friends reached out. Confused. Concerned. Clients asked if I was okay. I could have ignored it. Let it pass. But then, I saw Mark's reply. He's always been selfish. You deserved better. That was it. The fuse lit. They wanted a war. They'd get one. I didn't post a rant. I didn't go live with a sob story. I posted screenshots. Just facts. They're texts. He's loaded. Stick it out. I'll get what I can. He doesn't suspect a thing. Caption, truth hurts. That was all. The shift was instant. Comment disappear. Followers turned silent. People stopped tagging me in hate. Some even messaged apologies. But I wasn't done. I emailed a few key clients. Supplier. Mutual contacts. Kept it professional. Attached the same proof. Wrote. Just setting the record straight. Word spread. Hamas crumbled. Mark's too. He tried hitting back. Showed up at one of our job sites. Tried to talk trash to the crew. Spin his own story. Said I fired him without reason. Tried to poach guys to start something new. Didn't work. My crew knew me. They knew what I stood for. They shut him down before I even got the call. Sarah, my office manager, had been with me 5 years. Smart. Loyal. Sharp as hell. She pulled me aside. Let me handle this, she said. She did more than handle it. She tipped off suppliers. Whispered truths in the right ears. By the end of the week, no one in the local industry wanted to touch Mark. He was toxic now. Radioactive. And Elena, she went quiet. For a moment, it looked like I'd finally won. But I knew her. And I knew quiet was never the end, just the pause before the next play. For a while, things kited down. Elena stopped posting. Mark went radio silent. Their smear campaign had backfired. And now they were licking their wounds somewhere out of sight. At the office, the air felt lighter. Clients stuck by me. Work crews showed up early. And Sarah, God. Sarah was a fortress. She kept everything running like nothing had happened, like we hadn't just been dragged through the dirt. Then came the weekend. A text from my mother, dinner. My place. 6 p.m. We need to talk. I should have known better. But some part of me, the sun part, the tired part, thought maybe, just maybe, it was a peace offering. So I went. And the second I stepped through that door, I knew I'd made a mistake. They were there. Elena. Mark. Sitting side by side at the table like it was Thanksgiving. Mom rushed over. Clasped my hands like I was 12 again. Daniel. Sweetheart, we have to fix this. It's gone too far. I didn't say a word. Just looked at her. Then at them. Elena wouldn't meet my eyes. Mark gave me that sheepish half-smile he used when we were kids, and he'd stolen something but wanted me to laugh it off. Mom's voice wavered. They told me it was just a mistake. A moment that got out of hand. It didn't mean anything. I stared straight at her. Didn't mean anything, I said. Slow. Stealing from me. Sleeping with her. That's your idea of a little mistake, she flinched. He's your brother. Daniel. I laughed sharp. Humorless. No. He's not. Not anymore. I turned to Elena. And she's a liar. A user. She never loved me. Elena stood up suddenly. Defensive. That's not true. Mark grabbed her arm. Dan. Come on. Let us talk. I stepped in. Voice cold. You don't get to talk. You don't get anything. Not my money. Not my name. Not a damn ounce of my forgiveness. I looked at Mom one last time. You're choosing them. That's fine. But don't expect me to stand in the same room. She gasped. Don't do this. Please. Daniel. This family died the day they betrayed me. And I walked out. Didn't look back. Didn't wait for someone to follow. Didn't hope. Just walked. For a few days, everything stood still. The storm had passed, or so I thought. Elena and Mark had been publicly exposed. My company was standing strong. And I finally felt clear. Then, late one night, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. But I knew it was her. You'll regret this. 3 words. No context. No apology. Just threat. I stared at the screen. My pulse didn't rise. My hands didn't shake. I felt nothing. I'd already felt all the regret I ever would trusting her. Believing in Mark. Letting my mother try to guilt me back into a burning house. This wasn't regret. This was justice. I forwarded the text to Greg. Keep this on file. I wrote. He responded 5 minutes later. She's desperate. Desperate people get sloppy. He was right. It didn't take long. 1 week later, Greg called. She filed a motion. He said, claiming you coerced her into signing the prenup. Says she has evidence. I almost laughed. Evidence. Then I saw it. Photos. Me and her in the kitchen. In the car. On the porch. Edited. It looked like I was yelling. Grabbing her arm. Fake. But convincing if you didn't know better. And paired with them a sworn affidavit. Elena claiming she'd signed the prenup out of fear. I felt the anger rise slow. Not wild. She's making this up. I said. Greg was already on it. We'll bury it. The hearing came fast. Too fast. Elena wanted a quick ruling. I'm probably hoping I'd settle just to make it stop. I didn't. I walked into that courtroom with Greg at my side and fire in my spine. Elena sat across the room. In amor distress. Eyes red like she'd been crying all night. Mark wasn't with her. Her lawyer strutted in. All puffed up confidence. Laying out their story. Miss Lawrence was emotionally manipulated. He said. She feared for her safety. She had no real choice. The judge was a woman in her 50s. Sharp. Quiet. Watching everything. Greg stood. Calm. Steady. He walked her through the metadata of the photos' timestamps, proving they'd been altered long after the annulment. Then he showed the texts. He's loaded. Stick it out. I'll get what I can. This isn't coercion. Greg said. It's revenge. A scam that failed. I took the stand. Told the truth. She married me for money. When I found out, she turned vicious. The judge didn't even hesitate. Motion denied, she said. Case closed. Elena didn't cry this time. She stood, face tight, eyes hard, and walked out of that courtroom like a storm that had finally run dry. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt hollow. The courtroom was behind me. Elena was gone. The lies had burned away. But what was left? An empty house. A company I'd fought to protect. A name I still had, but no one left to carry it with. That night, I sat on the porch with a beer in my hand, watching the street breathe under the porch light. And then I saw headlights. A truck. Mark. He stepped out slow, hands raised like he thought I might shoot him. Dan, he called, voice small. Just hear me out. I didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stared. You've got 30 seconds. I said. He launched into it, said he lost his job. Elena dumped him. Mom won't stop crying. He had no one left. I screwed up. He said. I'm sorry. You're my brother. I stood, walked right to him, looked him in the eyes. You stopped being my brother the day you chose her over me. He flinched, tried to explain. I cut him off. Get off my property. He stood there for a beat, then turned and walked. Didn't look back. Neither did I. The next morning, I found a letter from Mom in my mailbox. 2 pages. Handwritten. Full of guilt and pleading. You're breaking this family. Daniel. He's your blood. Please forgive him. I read it once, then held a match to the corner. Watched it burn. Because family doesn't destroy you and expect your forgiveness like it's owed. They earn it. And they'd thrown that away. Work was my rhythm again. Sarah kept the office moving sharp. Steady. She brought me coffee one morning and lingered at the edge of my desk. You okay? She asked. I looked up, and for the first time in months, I didn't have to fake the answer. Getting there. She smiled. Small, but real. Good, she said. You deserve it. Maybe it was too soon. Maybe it was nothing. But I asked if she wanted to grab a drink after work. She said yes. A week later, I drove out to the edge of town, the overlook where I used to sit and think when everything felt too loud. I stood there, hands in my pockets, watching the city blink below me. I'd lost so much: a wife who never loved me, a brother who envied me, a mother who never truly saw me. And yeah, it hurt. It carved out pieces of me I'll never get back. But I survived. And more than that, I reclaimed myself. My company was solid. My name was clean. My future, still mine. I thought about her last message. You'll regret this. But I didn't. I had once. But not now. I trusted too easily. That was my flaw. But I learned. He hardened. I cut loose the ones who only knew how to take. And standing there under the fading sky, I finally felt something I hadn't in a long time. Peace. Not because it didn't hurt, but because I wasn't carrying it anymore. If you've ever had to walk away, not because you were weak, but because you'd finally had enough, then maybe you understand Dan. Maybe you are Dan. If something in this story settled quietly in your chest, leave a thought. We read them. All of them. And if you feel like walking with us again, just hit subscribe. We'll be right here.